Good evening, everyone. I welcome us back to this tonight class. I believe everybody is doing very fine. So, in this class, I was planning of starting a dashboard with us, but I just feel like I should make a justice to the remaining part of the Microsoft Excel formula and function that we started last class. So I just want to explain the logical, the conditional, and I think what is the third part? Let me just see. So the text function, the conditional function, and some of the logic uh, part of Microsoft Excel's formulas and function. So that's what I will be explaining tonight. Then by Monday, I will focus Monday class on Excel dashboard. So by Tuesday, we'll be starting. By Tuesday, we'll be starting Power BI. So I think I will after tonight's class, I'm going to share some YouTube videos for you to install, for you to download Power BI and install it on your laptop. So after tonight's class on Monday, next week Monday, I'm going to wrap Microsoft Excel up, and then on Tuesday we're going to start Power BI. Power BI is not really difficult, so maybe within that next week we can even finish Power BI. So I'll just explain the basics of Power BI, then just go straight to building a dashboard as well with Power BI, then explain some of the use of Power Query in Power BI. So once I'm able to make justice to that, then we are going to move to Python. The use of Python, I'm going to explain some basic things you need to, although Python is going to take some of our time because you need to understand the basics before you start using it to do your analysis. So that's just how it's going to go. So tonight, I'm just going to complete every part of Microsoft Excel functions and formula. Then by Monday, I'm going to wrap it up by building a dashboard with Microsoft Excel with us. Then Tuesday, we'll be working on Power BI. So I'm going to share my screen now. So this is my screen. A minute, please. So this is my screen. I'll be very fast so that I'll be able to finish what I have for tonight. So I think this is where I stopped the last class explaining. Okay, let me just cancel this. So explaining like formulating a question with this data set, what number like numbers of students attend classes, what is maximum. Then we're able to use some basic functions and formula in Microsoft Excel. So now I'll be explaining the conditional function, like just like conditional function in Microsoft Excel, in Excel formulas and function. So I want to make my screen bigger so that we can see it more clearly. Okay, I think it's not bad this way. So in this data set, we have cookies name, country, sold, cookies sold. So and we already have some cookies name here, just like chocolate chips, oatmeal rising, sugar cookie. So these are just like basic names of cookies and the country where they've been sold and the numbers of items they've been sold. So in this scenario, the last class I was trying to filter it by, okay, I'm trying to filter it by country, if you want to check the cookies sold in United States alone, or if you want to filter it by the cookie name, which is like maybe you are working with chocolate chips, you want to filter the whole data set with chocolate chips sent in chocolate chips sold in United States, or you want to go by sugar cookie sold in India or sold in the United States. So there's a way you can manipulate it by trying to filter your cell, like your column, and it's going to give the exact result of okay, chocolate chips sold in United States and the numbers of their sold. Then you can easily sum it. Or if you want to work with optimizing, so you can pick any of these things and works on it based on the condition that you are giving it. But in some scenario, you may not need to like stress yourself by creating filter every time, try to hide some part, try to show some part just because you want to make some summation that you don't really want it to take effect on every aspect of your data set. So now there are some conditional functions in Microsoft Excel that we make use of. We have some if, we have some ifs, we have average if, we have average ifs, we have count ifs, we have count ifs, we have mean ifs, like minimum, then you can add a condition to it. You can also find the maximum and also add a condition to it. So what this you already, I believe we are all familiar with sum, just normal average, just some, excuse me, just normal mean, like that is minimum, then just normal max, that is maximum. But this can only be used direct, like at once. If you want to solve everything in this data set now, you can just use sum, and sum will sum all the cookies sold. But when it comes to condition, you don't just want to sum, you want to sum by a certain criteria. So how can you do that? So now you can use this sum to, these are like basic things you can use the sum to do. You can sum the India cookies sold in like cookies sold in India. Okay, what I'm going to do first is like let me create a filter and just try to, I want to create a filter, and then I want to just try to show my, okay, this is where to create filter. So I've created filter now, and the first thing I want to use this conditional statement, which is sum if. The first thing I want to do is to calculate the cookies sold in India. So and the cookies sold in India here is just, the cookies sold in India is, okay, let me just start by explaining this particular formula. So when you are, and I don't know the, like depending on the types of Microsoft Excel that you are using, there's some Microsoft Excel that give like a short documentation on every action that you want to take, like on every formulas that you intend using. Just like here, you can see below sum if, you can see I have sum if open bracket range, that is as to input the range, then followed by criteria of my summing, then after the criteria I also need to do sum range. So sum if, then open bracket range, then criteria, then sum range. So this is actually giving me a suggestion of what exactly I should do, even if I don't really understand what I want to do, because there are some formulas and functions that you may want to know, you may want to use, and you don't really understand the proper ways of using them. So this is just like an example, and if you are using like updated Microsoft Excel version, once you type in that formula, it's going to suggest some of the things that need to be inside that bracket. Just like this, I need to input my range, I need to input my criteria, I also need to input the sum range. And what did I really want to sum here? I want to sum the total cookies sold in India. So the first thing is putting the range. What is the range I want to impute? Because India is a country, I have to consider the range of C, because C is I have to consider the so I have to consider the range where the country belong. The country belong to C. So here, after typing equals to sum if, then you open bracket C, like that is, you don't necessarily need to start from maybe like C2 to C something, but the range you can just put C dot dot C. So that is showing that the range from the beginning of C to the end of C. So and this one will be helpful, especially when you are working with a 3,000, 4,000 rows of data, that scrolling down may not even help you to know the numbers of rows that are present in that particular data set. So you just using C, like C, column C. So now is highlighting the range at which the country belong. That is where we can easily find India. And what is the condition? We are planning of summing the cookies sold in India. So the criteria here is India. We don't just want to sum anything in the cookies sold, but we want to sum it based on India. And after providing the range of the country, followed by the name of the country. So this country can be United States, this country can be Philippines. So here, what is my business here? It's like I want to sum all the cookies sold in India. Den I have to put the sum range, that is the range where I want to make my summation. So what is the range that I want to, that is what is the column where I want to make my summation. My summation will be from D, which is dis cell, which is cookie sold. So I'm summing all the cookies sold in India by the sum range, which is from D, which has the number D, then colon D. So if I press enter now, I have 301, 301 as my India cookie sold. So what I'm now going to do now is I want to filter this country by India, just to know. So now this is me filtering India with the country. So if I try to just sum this alone, which is equals to sum, then bracket D. Okay, I cannot even use sum because it's not in range. So I have to just do it manually, like using formula instead of function. So dit, then D, then D13, then D14. Okay, I think this can also be in range. So I think there is a consistency here. So we can just use sum instead. Sum, then open bracket. Oh, okay, let me just go with this. Sum. So you can see that when we use summation to get the total cookies sold in India, just by using formula, if I click on enter, it has 301. But if I uncheck this, if I uncheck this and I use this my sum if to calculate the total cookies sold in India by using this formula as equals to sum if, then open bracket C, the range of C, that is the country, and also try to pick India as my condition or my criteria of my summation. Then I also need to give the sum range, that is the range where the sum is coming from, which is the cookie sold. So clicking this, pressing enter with this formula, I'm able to get 301, which is 301 that we got here by using summation of India. But I think this logic is much easier. So I can also calculate the united cookie sold. So if I want to do that, I'm just going to use, okay, sum if, then open bracket, put the range of the country, then followed by the United States, then put in the range where the cookie sold belongs. So and I'm going to get my answer. So I can also do it for Philippines. So it's just like a repeated uh, approach. So you can do that. You can also do that for different issues or different tasks. So now the second conditional function is sum ifs. That is, if that has an else, not just sum if. This at time around, we want to work with sum ifs. That is, we can provide multiple condition even apart from a single condition. You notice that the first one we only use a single country where we want to sum the cookie sold. That is, cookie sold in India, cookie sold in United, cookie sold in Philippines. But now we are putting s in the back of our ifs. So looking at this short description, sum ifs, then open bracket, sum range. So we are going to start, while we are working with sum ifs, that is multiple condition. We are going to start with sum if like I mean the what will be inside the sum if, we have to start with sum range. So sum range, that is the range at which the number that you want to calculate is. So here, the column where the range where we want to make our calculation is cookie sold, that is D. That's the column for D. Then also we need to provide the first criteria. So what is the first criteria? We want to work with the state, the country rather, and from that country we want to work with United States alone. But we need to highlight the column where the country is, then try to pick the country that we are trying to work with, which is, we can pick United States, we can pick India, we can also pick Philippines. Then after that, from this documentation, we also have criteria range 2. What is the criteria range 2? The criteria range 2 is B. That is, we want to pick, like, we don't just want to sum the cookies sold in United States alone. We also want to consider a particular cookie name sold in United States. We don't really want to consider all the cookies sold in United States. We just want to consider one, in which we pick B3 as our criteria, which is chocolate chips. So we can also pick another one, just like sugar cookie, oatmeal rising, birthday cake. So we can just pick at random and just try to do the same. So now I'm going to do something. After this, I'm going to try to use another option just to try another thing. So here now, what we are able to do is summation of chocolate chips in United States. So let me click enter. Then I want to make another sum ifs. Then I want to sum peanut butter sold in United States. So uh, our sum range is D. So I'm going to just use D, then comma. So I'm going to so the first thing is clicking the sum range, then followed by the sum range, then we need criteria. So what is our criteria? and we need, okay, our criteria here is United. Let's work with India, or let me just work with United States. So I'm going to use C3. Then we have to provide another criteria. So the criteria that we need here now is like, I want to work with peanut butter. So okay, after the sum range, we need to go with criteria range rather, instead of the so I need to consider the criteria. So that's a mistake. So the first one is sum range, which is D. Then the second one is the range of the criteria. The range of the criteria is the country. Okay, let me just start again. So after you type equals to sum sum ifs sum ifs, then you need to consider sum range. The sum range is D, then comma, the criteria range is C, from which the country belong. So from here now, I now need to create the criteria. My criteria is United States. United States is C3. Then I want to pick a particular, I want to pick a particular cooking name, and before picking it, I have to consider the range where the cooking name belong. So I have to do that by referencing it with B. Then I now need to pick the criteria. The criteria here that I want to pick is peanut butter, which is B8. So if I click enter now I have 39. So this 39 is showing the total peanut butter sold in United States is 39. So these are just like various ways of you using sum ifs. Then we have some other functions, like we have count ifs, we have average ifs, we have average. So we have different. So we have like others, like I've explained some ifs. Then we also have average. We have average ifs, we have count ifs, we have count ifs, we have mean ifs, we have max ifs. So these are actually very important functions of like conditional function that we need to know. So here average ifs is used for so many things, but I think it's straightforward to use. So you can want to you will want to, like, you can imagine anything, like why using all uh this function, this conditional function. So now you may want to calculate an average of your cookie sold, or maybe like any data, and you are just considering a certain part to make an average. So here in this scenario, we are just trying to make the average of any number that is lesser than 100. And you can also go by, you want to make, like, you just want to know the average numbers of number that is greater than 100, or maybe like it may involve like a sales. and you want to really know, like, okay, I want to calculate the average sales of this particular product, or you just want to make an average, right? But you are trying to beat it down or try to create a condition with the average that you are trying to get. So you don't just want to make like all the average of the data set in your Excel worksheet, but you are trying to make an average of a certain number. So here, the basic things I did here was I'm trying to get an average cookies sold that is lesser than 100. So anyone that is greater than 100, I don't really want to consider them. So I want to know the average of the cookies sold that is lesser than 100. And if we try to check that, so the syntax here is equals to average if, then you put in the range of your, if I click here, there should be a documentation. So you can see here below it we have average if, then you start with range. So range is the first thing. After the range, you give it a criteria, then if possible you provide the average range. So after you provide the range of where you want to make your calculation, or you want to make your average, you have to follow by the criteria. Here the criteria here is I want to get the average of cookies sold that is lesser than 100. And if I click enter, I'm able to get 47.15. So if we try to find the average of any numbers here that is lesser than 100, we are going to get exactly what exactly this answer. So we also have average ifs. So that is if that has like that has more condition. So if I click here now, okay, clicking here now is showing that okay, average ifs, we have average range, we have criteria range one, we have criteria range two, we have criteria two, we have criteria range three, we have criteria. So what this means is that average ifs that has s, you can create multiple condition for your average. You can see from the short description, we could see average range, criteria range one, criteria one, criteria range two, criteria range three. So that is, you can do for one, you can also add two, you can do for three, you can even do more than like continuous. So that is, it give you that space of you writing like more condition for your average. And here what I really want to do here is by trying to get the average of, okay, let me try to, oh, I'm trying to check some people's message. So yeah, what I'm trying to get here in terms of average is that I want to get the average sales, like average sales of cookies sold in America. Oh, I said America, United States. So I'm trying to get the average sales, or average cookies sold um in United States, but I'm not doing it generally. I'm being specific by picking chocolate chips sold, the average chocolate chips sold in United States. That's what I'm trying to achieve with this particular formula. So average, then I try to create the range, which is the cookies sold, followed by the range of the country because I want to consider United States, then put in my criteria, which is I want to check the cookies sold in United States, then also providing the range for my I'm also providing the range for my cookie name. Then try to put the cookie name as um chocolate chips. So if I want to change it from there, I will just make changes here. So instead of this B3, I will just maybe like add another. I can also change this C3 because C3 is representing United States. So I can change the C3 to maybe like C11, which is India, or I can change it to C18, which is Philippines. Then this B2 as well, I can also change it to maybe like sneaker doodoo. I can change it to birthday cake. I can change it to peanuts butter. I can also change it to fortune depending on what exactly I care about. So we also have like can't if. Can't if, what can't if is all about is, the normal count that we know. The normal count is just going to count the normal numbers in our we have count and count A. Count A work more with alphabet, while just normal count work with number. So count will only count the numbers of items in your data, but here count if we count specifically. So now I want to make counting to only cookies sold in India, and if I press enter, I'm providing the range for the country because India is a country. Then I'm picking C11 to be India, which is I want to calculate the numbers of cookies sold in India. So if I press enter, I can see that I have 7. If I count here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7. So I have 7. So my counting here is 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I have 7 cookies sold in India. I can also change it to another thing. So I can also use mean. So now I want to check the minimum sales of chocolate chips sold in United States. So I have to first provide the range, the minimum range, that is where I really want to pick up my range, which is the cookies sold, then which is D. Then I also need to pick C, which is the country, to pick the country that I really want to work with, which is C3 is United States. Then also putting the range, which is B for chocolate chip. Then picking the chocolate chip that I want to check the minimum sales, which is so what all these things is just all about is like we want to take a minimum, but we don't just want to take all the minimum. We are only specific about the minimum that we want to pick. So that's just what I'm trying to do. And also for maximum, just exactly the same thing. I've given this data set before, and I think I have all the solution there. I believe if you try it before, it should have been faster than this. So the next thing that I will just make, just because of my time, I will be very very fast because after today I don't really want to explain function again. The next one that we'll be having on Monday, I'll just go straight to dashboard building. Then by Tuesday we'll start Power BI, so not to keep wasting time on a single tools. So I think last class I also, or a class before last class, I also explained on the use of some text function. So we make use of trim, we make use of proper, and we make use of what else again? I think proper and trim. But now I have more than that. I have proper here, I have trim here, I have concat, I have and I have text join. So these are just like basic I have length, I have right, I have length, which is for length. So these are just like some of the examples of what we can actually do with all these text function. So let me try to make it bigger so that, so here what proper is used for is like in this, you can see joint cookie company. So in this joint cookie company, you can see that everything starts with small small letter. but proper will help you to put them in proper format. Proper will give the first item capital letter, just like proper here gave J capital letter, C capital letter, then company capital letter. And what you need to do is just to put the function which is equals to proper, then put in the range. It may be range, especially when you are working with a very large data. It may be a range, you can just put the range there, or you can first work with one, then drag it downward just to do autocomplete for the rest. So here the data set, like the text that we want to put in a proper format, is in B3, which is joint cookies company. So proper equals to proper, then open bracket B3. So if I press enter, now you can see that this J has started with capital letter, C capital letter, another C capital letter. So now it has putting this in a proper format. So you can see this example again, Abiodun Abayomi. So I can just do equals to proper, then open bracket B5. So this B5, if I press enter, you can see now that the name is now in a proper format. So trim, let's try trim and see what trim is all about. So trim equals to B7. So this trim is able to remove the white space. You can see that this one here, there is a space here, but immediately I use trim here, trim remove that space and bring it back to the normal place. So when you have things like this in your data set, you can just use trim to properly align it, and you can drag it if the data contain a lot of information, or like downward, you can just drag it and it's going to auto complete it. So we also have concat. From the word concat, what concat means is like bringing two different things together. And you can see here we have this interest, cookie and company. So I can bring all this together in a single cell. Let me just enlarge this so that I can bring it together here. So I'll just use equals to concat. Then what are the text? The text I want to concat is B11, then I think comma C11, then so we can see here that I'm able to use concat to add this interest, cookie and company. But to make it very alright, I think let me just try to give it space if it's going to work. So it's not working. So I'm just trying to create space in between so that it won't just look like okay. I'm trying to give it space, but I don't know why it's not okay. I think you can use another method. So now we've been able to join these three together, but it's not giving us space of like spacing it. So now I want to do something. I want to use this sign again, just to because they all do the same thing. B, let me just say B15. So we are using the I'm trying to create a space in between, and I don't know why it's not working. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. Okay, I think once I am able to get it, I'm going to do it again. So we can also try to join, like you can use test join if you want to also use, so they are just like the same thing. You can also use text joint. So then open bracket, what exactly you want to join. So I want to join 19. Then I also want to join C19. Then I also want to join 19. So if I click on this now, Okay. Okay, I think they said the double quote. Okay, I think maybe that's why it's resulting into that. Okay, let's see the double quote how it's going to. What I'm just trying to do here is just to uh create a space in between. I think it's not still working. Oh, let me see. Okay, okay, okay. I think I've seen the mistake now. Uh-uh. It's not still working here. Okay, comma, 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 comma. Ti- 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 ti. Okay, I think if you can do it and it work, so that I won't just keep wasting time, so you can just figure it out. So we also have like for right, we also have right, left, mid. Like these are also function that you can use, and this is how you can leverage on them. For right, you can see right. Then we have like text, the text that you want to put in the right side, like picking from the right side. Then you also put the numbers of character, so you have to count the numbers of character after picking the position of the text. The position of the text I want to work with here is B23, then also the numbers of character. So putting that, you are going to get, okay, now I'm picking this as my character from this. So at times you may have a data set that has street name, state and everything, and you may only care about the state or the street or even the country. And if everything is on the same this thing, you can, that's just one of the reason, that's just one of the way you can pick it. So equals to right, then put the, like, this is B23, then put the numbers of character. Also we also have for left, you can also do the same for left. You can pick from the left hand side, put the names of the numbers of the character, and it's going to appear here. So length is, I think, is the last one here, and what length does is just to help you to get the numbers of the length. So the numbers of the length is what we use length for. So length is going to count those item and just give it the number, like that is the length of your, so this has a length of 19, although you always consider the space, the spacing as well. So that's all about that. So what next? Let me see this. The last, I think the last one we've talked. Okay, let me quickly talk about this as well. We also have like true or false, just like you also, you can also use true or false in Microsoft Excel just to check if something is true or false. So and how can we in programming we call this boolean. Boolean is used to check if a condition is true or false. So in this scenario I'm testing if my B4 is equals to C4. So my B4 is equals to C4. My B4 is 10 while my C4 is 5. So B4, I'm trying to check if my B4 is equals to C4, and I can see that is not equal because B4 and C4 they are not the same. B4 is 10 while C4 is uh is is 5. So I also try to use a condition here showing, okay, so I'm also trying to use a condition here testing that is B4 greater than C, is B4 greater than C4. So I'm trying to check if 10 is greater than 5. So and what I can see is true because 10 is actually greater than 5. So another thing is, do we sell more chocolate chips or oatmeal rising? So I want to check the condition if we sell more chocolate chips. You can see the cookie name we have here, we have chocolate chips to be 97, while oatmeal rising to be 150, chocolate sugar cookie to be 150. So now we are now writing a condition to know if we sell more chocolate chips than oatmeal rising, and you can see chocolate chips is 97, while oatmeal while we have chocolate chips to be 97 while oatmeal rising is 150. So this shows that we sell oatmeal rising than chocolate chips, but the question here is, do we sell more chocolate chips or oatmeal rising? And that is like false. So how will you write that condition? You write it by using if, then put the condition of the two, because we are trying to compare chocolate chips and oatmeal rising. You locate where chocolate chips is, which is B11, and also oatmeal rising is B12. Then place the chocolate chip, that is the condition, and also the oatmeal rising. So we are trying to check the one that has the highest sales. And if I press enter, we can see that oatmeal rising actually have the highest sale. So if I increase this to be 920 or 970, you see that this will change, or is not even changing. So that shows I need to rewrite the condition if I want it to say change. So now the condition is just that, do we sell more chocolate chips or oatmeal rising? And you can see you have to locate the chocolate chips. You have to locate the two position and write your condition, and pick up the one that has the highest sales. So we also have for and, does chocolate chips sell more than other cookies? So like, the question here is, does chocolate chip sell more than the other cookies? And we can see that that's a lie, because chocolate chips only have 97, while others has 150, 150. So, and this is how to write the condition. If, then you open another bracket, put and, then B11 is chocolate chips, is it greater than B12, which is oatmeal rising, or is chocolate chips, which is B11, greater than B13, which is sugar cookie? And we are trying to put the condition, which is yes or no. So it's going to give us the correct answer, so which is no. And we are also trying to check for this, which is, does chocolate chip sells more than oatmeal rising or sugar? So this is how to write the condition. You just try to locate them and try to use a greater than sign, which is B11 for chocolate chips, B12 for oatmeal rising. So B11 greater than B12, or B11, which is chocolate chips, is it greater than B12? So we are just trying to check either of them that they sell more than each other, and you can see that the answer is no. So the next one is, what is the profit of sugar cookie? Okay, the price is equal. So here we are trying to compare the price. The price is here. We have for chocolate chips we have 10, oatmeal rising we have 8, we have sugar cookie, which is 40, and we are trying to check for the price of sugar cookie. So we are trying to, this is just like a way to locate a certain item in your large data set. So now I know that sugar cookie exists, but I want to locate the price of sugar cookie, and I don't really want to be scrolling. So what I can use is by just writing some certain condition to check, okay, where is like, this condition is just to locate sugar cookie and point out the price of sugar cookie for me. So I can use if, then F23. F23 here is for F23 is for sugar cookie. Sugar cookie here is F23. We are trying to equal it to B23. B23 is chocolate chips. We are also trying to put C23, which is the price, and also creating another if condition, which is F23 sugar cookies equals to B24, which is oatmeal rising. Then we are also trying to put the price, which is 8 here, which represents C24. We also create for the third one, which is F23 equals to B25, which is sugar cookie equals to sugar cookie. Then the price is equals. So if we try to click enter here, It's telling us that the price is equals to sugar, because the price of sugar cookie here is actually equals to, we are writing a condition to check if this price of sugar cookie is correct. So I think we also have some lookup here, some VLOOKUP, and also we have what is it called? We have for field lookup, and we also have X lookup here, but this is just like a minimal example though, but there are still a lot of example that you can find on the internet that you can make use of, just to try your hands on them to be sure that you've really gotten the concept. So this is just like we trying to check for the price of some certain item here, just like we are trying to get the we have in the table, we have chocolate chips, we have oatmeal rising, we have sugar cookie, then we also have beans. These are their price and this is their cost. So we are trying to check what is the price of sugar cookie, oatmeal rising. So how can we do that? Is by using VLOOKUP. VLOOKUP will help you to look up the, like, it's just like, it's just like vertical lookup on your data set, just to look for some certain item. So instead of, I think somebody was asking that question, is it yesterday or the day before yesterday, that uh instead of you using filtering method, like you filtering your table, you can use field lookup to find, to search from your data to get a certain information, especially when you know what exactly you are trying to look for. So here we are, what we are trying to do here is we are trying to get the price of sugar cookie, and also we are trying to check the price for oatmeal rising. So you can see this is also suggesting some documentation. Fit lookup, then you give the lookup value. So once you give the lookup value, you also give the table array, then also we have column index number, then range lookup. So these are just like basic things that you need to fit in your data set. I just want to be fast to cover all this so that I won't go back to it anymore. So we also do the same for sugar cookie here, and what else? So just for X lookup, we're able to get the price of chocolate chips, the sugar cookie. So if I click on them, so X lookup, you have to provide the lookup value. The lookup value here is age 7. So then we have to provide the range where the price belong, and also the return array. So the lookup array, so the range of the range of the cookie type, which is where the sugar cookie belong, and also the range of the price after you picking the lookup value. So that's it. If you are using an updated Excel fashion, you'll be seeing something like this. So it's going to be suggesting, and if some of them are confusing at times, you can easily put it on internet and get the right stuff. So I think the last one is just like on date column, like what this one is all about is just on date. So if you use equals to now, okay, let me just quickly touch that. So let me make it bigger. So now in times and date, we have some certain functions that we use, just like now, today, day, Monday. I said Monday. We have now, today, day. We have month, we have year, we have time, we have hour, we have minutes, we have seconds. So you use equals to now, then open bracket and close bracket. So if you use this equals to now, now means checking the time for now, and if I press enter, you see today's date is 28th of March 2024, and it's giving the exact date. Although my laptop here is using Canadian time, so maybe that's why it's putting 13 something here. So that's why it may not be correct at yours, but because my system is using Canadian time, so that's why it's 13. But if you try it on your laptop, it's going to give the exact time. which is like 9 p.m. now. So I think 9:01. So if I click enter, you see, so I can also get the only date except the time. Like I just want the date. So if you use equals to today, it's going to give you the today's date, which is 3 28 and so if you also want to check date alone, you just use day then put in you have to reference the former noun so that you can get the day from it. And you can also do for month as well. So here we can see equals to month, then C2. So it's giving us month 3, which is March. Then for year, you just need to use equals to year, then reference your noun, then you get it. Then the time, you can use this one is not referencing today's time. I just use the normal random time, which is equals to time, then open bracket 40 comma. So if I click here, you see if you are using time function, it's going to give hours, minutes and seconds. So what I'm trying to do here is I'm giving 40 hours, time is 40 hours, 50 minutes, then I'm putting 20 seconds. So what that will give you is 4:50 p.m. So hours, if I'm considering these hours, I'm getting 13 hours, then the minute is just 2 minutes ahead, then also seconds is 47 seconds. So I think this is where I'm going to end formulas and functions. So in next class, we'll be talking about dashboard. So I'm going to be explaining dashboard, and I'm going to start it again. Like I'm just going to build a dashboard with us. Then after that, Monday, Tuesday, I'm going to start Power BI so that after doing some stuff with Power BI as well, building some visuals, then we can move to uh, Python and other tools. So this is where I'm going to stop for tonight. It's nice having everybody on the call. Do enjoy the rest of your night. So goodbye and good night, everybody.